Hello everyone, Rare Modder Reviews here, and we are back at it again with another unboxing. So this one again, as I said with my last unboxing, I think you guys are going to be a lot more excited to see the contents of. So this one at the bottom here, I have no idea why it's so big. I mean, this one, dare I say it's a bit girthier? I don't know, that's the only word I could think of to phrase it, but the one at the bottom, which I'm probably going to review first just because I kind of have to take this out the way anyway. Uh, This one should be quicker. Again, we'll see when I open the box as to why the heck it's so big. Literally, I barely could fit this thing on this little desk here. I wanted to stand it upwise, but like that wasn't gonna work. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing out of the way, and then we'll go see what's on the bottom because I personally am more excited to look at the contents of this thing, and I think you guys will be too. May have been something you guys already seen a review on. We'll find out. I'll leave it to you guys to comment down below on what you think and how excited you are to see it, because I know for this one especially, I'm really excited to build it, and I'll speak on this thing in just a second. All right, so if you guys were curious as to what's in this box, if you don't know what it was just from that little glimpse there, I'm sure you do now. And we of course have the ultra rare master grade, the O. So this is a reprint. If you guys couldn't tell by the blue label there, this thing came out some time ago, and of course would have had a red label. So this thing actually doesn't even have the standard box you see in normal kits. This thing is almost in the same kind of box you see in like the high grade mobile armor kits. And speaking of, this thing is 15 years old. My goodness, I didn't know it's that old. So this is a kit that usually sells out almost immediately every time they do reprint it. And I'm glad I finally got my hands on those things. I wanted this thing for a while now. And I think the reason why I didn't get it already again is because this thing always sold out super fast. That and this thing is expensive. This thing is over $100, which is mainly due to the sheer size of the O. It's like the same thing with the Sazabi. I think even the Sinanju. Sinanju I think is a little cheaper than Sazabi, but again, those are two very big kits, and as a result, they have an equally large price tag. So the O is always one of my favorite kits. I love Shirako, and he's just, well, kits, suits, but anywho. It's funny how Gundam blurs between the two, but I just love how talented of a pilot Shirako was, and just how powerful of a new type he really was. And just getting this thing, one of the big bads for one of my favorite mobile suit series out there, it's very nice. And I can definitely say that the O is one of my holy grails. And at this point, I think it's safe to say I've gotten like all my holy grails. Oh yeah, look, it even has a little handle for you to, you know, like, again, it's just how you know this thing is a very big kit. And then of course it has some of the little, geez, brain fart here. The little facts about the mobile suit itself. This is something you usually see on high grades where they like mention what it's made out of and whatnot. So this thing is 24 meters. Just to put in perspective, that is 6 meters taller than the average size mobile suit. And it's made out of Gundalium. I don't know if that's trying to say Gundarium, but if anything that has gun in it, usually it's the stuff that a Gundam is made out of. So again, that's just how amazing the O was. The fact that it's made out of the same stuff Gundam is made out of is pretty impressive. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this thing on out of the box. If you guys see a cut, you'll know it's because this thing is a lot more of a pain to take out than I thought. But no, it looks like it's starting to come out. So maybe I just might not cut it. I'm gonna go ahead and slide this thing on out. Straight off the bat, I see that we have Shirako here painted in yellow. I guess this thing doesn't have any white, so they have no choice but to put on the yellow rubber. Almost got it. There we go. No cuts necessary. I'm probably going to cut it to put this thing back in the box, though, because that was already enough of a pain to take out with one hand. I'm not trying to put it back in with one hand. So, just as a thought, I mean, I can sort of see why they gave it that oversized box, but We'll start first off with the first frame here, which again has Scirocco sitting, and then the standing one looks like it's on another runner. Have some new greens here for the thrusters. You have the cables there, which looks like it's gonna be hard plastic. I kind of wish it was in the soft plastic, like some of the other Titan stuff, especially the more recent stuff, like the high grade, what's his face? Bound Dock. That thing has like a little rubber green hosing type of deal. Some blacks on the bottom. I like that. Oh, that's actually the head there. Jeez, long head. Anyway, so this is actually a pretty cool thing that this did. It has a kind of these plastic stickers, which ironically is something they only did with this, and then they brought it back for the Strike Freedom Extreme. So this kind of helps, I believe, cover up some of the seam lines from the rifle. Yeah, I don't know why they never did this again until pretty recently. I personally think that this came out pretty good in all the old reviews. I've seen this thing when it first came out. I have some of the rub-on, the dry rub-on decals for this thing, which is another thing they stopped doing in favor of water slide and just, well, the sticker styles we see in the back here. And speaking of beam rifle, here's the same runner used to build it. It's a very large beam rifle. If you can't get the scope of just how big it is from there, like this thing is like the size of my hand. So again, very large and powerful. Have some stuff that looks like more stuff for the arms. Looks like that's for the calf. Then have some of the inner frame stuff going on here. Again, a lot of the mobile suits from the Titans, more specifically the ones that came about when Scirocco came into the fray, because I think Scirocco started making a lot of their mobile suits. I was never entirely sure what Scirocco's involvement was with the Titans. I'm pretty sure he started manufacturing mobile suits for them, but don't quote me on that. And yeah, again, a lot of those suits started to get ridiculously big. It's like I didn't realize that until kind of recently that a lot of the Titan suits were so enormous. Like I knew, of course, you know, there's like the mobile armors that are big, but just like straight up everything. After like, let's say, the Mars, I want to say, that the Titans produced were like enormous. So I guess that's because, again, there's a different manufacturer. I think after the Mars side, Anaheim stopped making the Titans mobile suits. And again, this is me assuming. I could probably be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure Scirocco started making mobile suits for them. But anywho, again, just the O. I always knew the O was a wide boy. I didn't know he was like a big boy. Like this thing is just big and tall. Like look at the size of that back armor. That thing is enormous. So again, we have more of the red tubings, which appears to be hard plastic. By the way, I'm rubbing on it. It feels hard. This runner is definitely hard. This doesn't feel rubbery. But again, looks very good. You have this thing's Sasquatch feet there. Pointer runners for that. And we have some more frame here for, again, that back armor, some of the chest there. This is really a lot of the side armor stuff. And then, of course, the hands. This is probably one of the last kits that actually had the posable hands, I guess you would say, not the whatchamacallits, the bracket hands like we have now. And of course we have the menu. Again, this is how you know this is an older school mobile suit. They don't come like this anymore. Definitely not. So this is probably one of the last kits to have the menus like this. Usually they just have the box art on it. And then of course we have a nice painted picture of it on the back here. And again, this is nostalgia at its core. So see, yeah, I know. Yeah, see it now. I know Scirocco created, of course, the O, and then his two wingmen's suits, the Pallas Athena and the Bola Noak Saman. But I don't know about everything else in the Titans fleet after that. But let me stop yapping for a second. I'm gonna go ahead and put everything back in a box, and we'll continue on from there. All right. So time to look at this menu here. So, oh gosh, again, it's just like, again, definitely older style kit. So we of course have all the facts about the O itself. So hopefully everything is clear enough where you guys would be able to pause this, get your translators out, and read it for yourselves if you're curious about all the missed details about the O. Eventually, if I'm bored enough, I'll take the translator on my phone myself and figure out about it. Definitely in time for the review, so I can give you guys some more facts about it while I'm reviewing it. Of course, this is a 1 of 1 So there should be a single thing on here that is reused. I don't see what they could possibly reuse from this thing besides, of course, the poly caps here, which this thing has a good bit of it. Actually, most of the poly caps here doesn't even use. That's actually kind of funny. But then again, this is around a time where they started to kind of ease off of poly caps in favor of well, having more sturdier connections that weren't relying on poly caps, because those are notorious for loosening up the joints over time and what have you, just because of the nature of connecting stuff to poly caps. So now you see a lot of the times they have like a hard plastic poly cap type of deal, which does the same thing and keeps the suit a bit more stiffer, sturdier. But and again, of course, with the O being such a unique looking mobile suit, it's going to have a unique construction to boot. So I can't wait to build this thing and see how exotic it is to build. The head, pretty quick, but then again, heads usually are. So that's no surprise there. But one thing I actually kind of glazed over, I'll mention in a second after we, of course, do the good old documentary photograph. So Psychic Battle, get one of the coolest parts where the O first showed up. Hamon and Shirako engaged in kind of basically a psychic battle, which again, one of the coolest things about Shirako, just how strong a new type, just having that battle where they're just literally just fighting with their oars and whatnot, super cool. And then the Gripios War, I have no idea why they call it Gripios. Maybe it's Grips for short, and then Gripios for long, but of course that's just Chameleon and Shirako having an epic clash. We of course have the other master grade kits to the Zeta 2.0, which I wanted for the longest time until the Verkai came out. No, I don't want it anymore. I only sort of wanted it and almost got it over the Verkai just because it has the Hyper Beam rifle. I love the Hyper Beam rifle. The Hyakushiki 2.0. This is another thing that it's not as rare as the O, but it comes and goes. The Cubile, no one once, this thing's always available. Eventually I'll get one, but definitely was tempted to get a Hyakushiki recently, but I fought my urge to, although sooner rather than later I'm going to get one. Although I was thinking about getting the one that comes with the Bao Ute. I don't think that's a 2.0, however, but having a Hyakushiki with a Bao Ute is tempting, plus that gold, it's going to leave the gold flanking nub marks, and yeah, those are never going to be pretty. So of course, if you want to paint your Shirako up, there you go. Those are the colors for him. As per standard, telling you how good this thing will look if you line it. I'm going to line it a little bit while I'm building it, but I'm not going to go too crazy with it. And of course, it's telling you should probably put this thing on an action base because the pose is going to be limited without one. This thing has pretty big flat feet though, so besides some of the dynamic flying poses, you should be able to get some decent poses off on this thing. So we of course end this thing off by building the legs and the waist, which again, very exotic build to it. Very small legs, very large feet. Again, the O is such a strange looking mobile suit, but that's probably one of the things that makes it so cool, just because of how different it looks from like a lot of things really in the series. And that's just a lot coming from series like Iron Blood Orphans, which had a lot of exotic-y looking mobile suits. Then there's the coolest thing about the O, the hide arms it has, which a few suits have adopted since. But this was the OG, and we didn't see anything with any sort of hide arm or anything like this after the O for a very long time. Now, of course, with the Titans taking a lot of Xeon technology, this thing has power tubes and whatnot everywhere. And of course, the mono eye. So this thing, as you've seen earlier when I showed off those red tubings, it is going to have one of those dreaded Zaku 2 2.0 type of deals where you got to cut out all those little tubes and then stand them down, then put them into little tube or whatever the heck. So that's going to be fun. I don't mind them too much, but yeah, I know a lot of you guys are, so that's probably going to be a pass for you guys if you can even get your hands on this thing. I don't know if they have any more O's in stock. Like I said, these things usually disappear as quick as they come. But the thing I wanted to mention is going to be the beam sabers. As you guys see when I was unboxing it, this thing only has 2 beams for the sabers, but it has 4 beam sabers. So one thing, I think it tells you somewhere on this thing, I could be wrong, But I remember when this thing first came out, I believe it was R. Robert. He was reviewing this thing, and he said, you know, they told you go borrow a couple of beam sabers from the Hyaku Shiki or the Cubile, which actually is probably what it was saying when it showed those two next to each other earlier. And I always thought that was hilarious. Now, thankfully, I had got two RE100 Yakut Dogas. Those both have yellow beams, so those have 2 extra to spare. So those would definitely be relocated to this guy. It's funny, I actually kind of like to use them with my Banshee because I feel like that thing look cool with yellow beam sabers rather than pink. But moving on, I'm going to put this thing away, and we're going to go ahead and get into our last kit here. All right, so now we're off to our final kit. And geez, I can't believe it took me 15 minutes just to unbox the maybe that thing did have a lot more in it than I expected, but moving on along, we have the Master Grade. So this is actually going to be kind of awkward to even present because the way this thing is set up is very different than the standard thing. But also want to mention I got the O from the USA Gundam store. Same thing for this kit. So this is going to be called the Solomon MLRS. So this is basically a bootleg version of the Phasalis, aka the Gundam Unit 2. Now, as you've seen from when I briefly showed off this box, this has clear parts for the Solomon and the MLRS. This thing here is just going to straight up be the Gundam itself. And it's really in here too. I'm actually going to pause this to get this thing out because, yeah, I'm not doing it, and I'll be back to yapping. It actually took a lot more effort to take out than I thought. I nearly ripped open the box doing it, but I forgot to mention the O had this cute little SD Kshatriya that it came with. I just love those things. Model number is 666. That really suits because that thing really was a demon. And then, of course, we have here the good old Tequila, aka Spike Gundam. So, again, another little cute little SD rendition of it. Also, it says who made it. So, Evan Palmer made this. Good job, Evan. And then this was made by, technically I already showed it off, but I didn't say it. So, I want to look at it. This was made by, oh, Evan again. Oh, cool. All right. Same guy. And then we, of course, have the little advertisement thing, I'm sure, in here or something. Oh, no, something else. I don't know. This is, oh, this is them thanking us for, or thanking me for buying it. It's got this neat little folder it came in, too. Might try to use this for something. That's cool. All right. Bringing hobbies to your front door. That is true. So, as I was kind of glazing on before, this thing has the clear parts MLRS. Looks like it also has this little gem-looking face that you'd be able to switch out for if you didn't want to do the actual Gundam face itself. So, I also want to mention it's only a matter of time before Bandai finds out about this thing, and there's a cease and desist because look at it. This literally looks like the Unit 2. Like, I know there's like this other company that does like little bootleg Gunpla stuff or whatever. I think they're Chinese. These guys probably Chinese too. But they make stuff based off of it. This thing is literally just a GPO2. Like, it's like a shameless copy of it or whatever. But moving on along here, so this thing has some gold-plated colors here for, it looks like hands and thrusters, and then some silver here for who knows what. And some silver piece here for the frame, which is very cool. I personally think that silver makes a lot more sense for inner frame rather than the grays, which I think this is more so for the shield. And there's some more silver pieces. Actually, no, I think these are clear pieces. So this is going to be for the shield and the bazooka, these parts here. We have These look more like a grayish, whitish color. Again, for the armor. So very cool. Oh, okay, so this thing must have a cross between gray and then silver parts. So maybe the silver is going to go on top of the gray, but again, very cool, more off-white. So this is just for various pieces of whether it be the legs or arms. This is all over. Again, more grays. So a bit of a clear difference between this thing and Bandai, just because like you can tell just by looking at like the runners. The runners aren't quite as, dare I say, clean looking as Bandai's, in a sense of like, you just see how big the letters are for this thing. Which, speaking of which, this thing looks like it goes, I can't tell if that's an M or a W. I hope that's an M, because this thing is a W. This definitely means I got my work cut out for me with this thing. But again, those pieces are for the bazooka, and I'm already going to say it right now. I'm looking forward to building this thing very much, because I've wanted a 2.0 of the Unit 2 for a long time. For those of you who do not know, Unit 2 was one of the first master grades ever made, all the way back in around 2002. And I can already say right now, don't you ever think about getting any of the earlier master grades. They were horrible. I did a review of the Unit 1 and the full veneer. Pieces of crap. Why I even still have those things on my shelf is beyond me, but they've been in the same pulls for probably years now, and then also on the bottom of my shelf where I barely even can see them. And then every now and then when I do look down there, I just kind of shake my head. But usually when I do look down there, it's when I'm on my way to work, so I don't have the time to throw those things out somewhere. But me getting so many kits, I'm running out of shelf space, so I'm going to end up putting those things back in their shoe boxes where they belong and never taking them back out again. Although then again, I might not want to do that just yet, because I probably want to go post the Unit 2 here standing on top of the Unit 1 in Triumph. Want to do some size comparisons for this thing or something. Definitely want to have it kick the Unit 1 over, or just stand on top of it. But yeah, so one cool gimmick about this thing that I was spoiled on, because I'm not gonna lie, I had to kind of cheat a little bit, at least for myself, and see if this thing was worth picking up, because, you know, I kept seeing advertisement for this thing all over the place on the Gundam Store's website. I'm like, what is this thing? This isn't Bandai, you know. So I looked it up, and this thing has this cool little gimmick here, which allows it to basically light up the bazooka and imitate, you know, it firing on Solomon, like its namesake. This thing also appears to be using some of the plastic stickers, which ironically I was just talking about with the O. And it has some, I can't tell if these are water slide or sticker style decals, but regardless, pretty cool. And this is going to be the menu itself. It's funny they use the gem head looking thing here. I don't know if this is because this is the MLRS version I'm picking up or not, but regardless, I'm tempted to build the gem version out of me just holding out hope Bandai eventually makes a Unit 2 2.0 of their own. But at the same time, if they give you the option to do both, naturally I have this thing posed off with the Gundam's head, and then I'll show off the gem head just for the sake of the review. So I'm going to actually real quick go ahead and put this stuff back in and look at the MLRS stuff, and then yeah. All right, so picking right back on off where we left off, we have some clear pieces for the shield here. So I'm pretty sure this thing gives you the option to either do it with a clear shield or the well, really just everything, clear or not clear. Sorry, sometimes words forming sentences are very hard for me, but I can already say I'm more so picking this thing up for the MLRS. I could care less about clear parts. Never as much of a fan of clear stuff. It's all super gimmicky to me. Again, this doesn't do it for me at all. I like to see the kit in the way it was presented in the source, the anime, rather than the gimmicky clear stuff. So this is pretty cool. Obviously, with me reviewing it, this is for you to decide on what you want to see and all that good stuff. So, you know, if you think it's cool that you could put this thing in clear and all that, which admittedly does allow you to see the inner frame of this thing, which, if the inner frame looks good enough, I'll probably try to, on the spot, show off the inner frame, and then later on when I review it, you know, I'll archive that footage and show it off for you guys, just go look at how cool it looks in the inner frame and whatnot. But again, I plan on building just the MLRS from this thing, and I'll keep those clear runners because why throw them out? But again, who knows, maybe if there's a Unit 2.0, a Unit 2 2.0, maybe I'll strip this thing of the armor, make it the clear version, put the gem head on, something like that. And again, get that official Unit 2 2.0. And that way I'll have a reason to have two of them. So I can definitely say, at this point, Bandai's best bet is just to make these guys official. Maybe if they have a way to make the mold look a little bit more Bandai-ish, instead of using this kind of third-party looking runners, they could do that, you know, make it official. But, okay, I don't know what this is for. Maybe something that came out of the box, but I'll leave that just in case I need it. But we now, of course, have a separate instruction for the MLRS. So yeah, they are two separate menus. I feel like they did that to save face or something. That way, if Bandai were to go grab it, they'll go look at it and say, okay, no, I guess it is just a bootleg version of our Unit 2. It's not an actual ripoff or whatever the heck, you know, but let's be honest here. If word gets out to Bandai, they will be able to, I'm sure, shut this down. But regardless, move that out the way because it only takes 2 seconds to do. And we'll go ahead and look at this stuff. I'll look at the MLRS just because it's faster. So, of course, multi-launch rocket system is what that stands for. So, I'm not sure if this is a Chinese company or a Japanese company that made this thing. But regardless, it's only 4 frames for the, 4 runners for the MLRS. Everything else, basically, it's just when you're building this thing, if you want to make it clear, you just go grab those clear parts and use those instead of normal stuff. I imagine probably the same letters, so shouldn't be too hard to figure that out. So naturally, technically, this thing could roll out with both the nuke and the MLRS. As you can see, they even have little warheads here for the MLRS. I don't think those are nukes though. I think those are just warheads. But so that's why this thing is a little too hard to build, the MLRS. Again, I don't see how this thing would have any issue again flying out with nukes and the MLRS just for some extra firepower, so it's not just, you know, a big armored gun that shoots a nuke and that's kind of it. Like the Unit 2 is. This thing literally only has Vulcans and a beam saber and a nuke. That's literally all that thing fielded. So this thing has a lot of runners here, as you see. They go all the way over to, what is that, W? So I was right. This thing does go to the W, and then MLRS. Look, I carried it off to a Z, and then it showed the electronic parts here you use for it. Some cautions on this thing or what have you. So it starts off from the ground up here, and you do the legs first for this thing. Very Spartan construction. Kind of reminds me of Kotobukiya stuff. Kotobukiya has some very Spartan looking manuals. Even some of the newer stuff still isn't as modernized and easy to interpret like Bandai stuff is. So it's very interesting. This thing also kind of does things like a perfect grade, where it has you build the frame first, or the skeleton it says, and then I'm assuming later on it's going to have you build the armor as well. So that's actually good for me, because it'll make it even easier for me to show off this thing's inner frame. I'm not gonna lie, half the reason why I never show off the inner frame on a lot of stuff is just the fact that they have you build it piece by piece, and it's kind of a bit of a pain, honestly, to go back and whatnot like that. I mean, maybe that's something I'll start doing in the future if you guys even really care about inner frames, because that's one of the reasons why I feel like Bandai needs to start doing more RE or full mechanic stuff if they don't want to do master grades anymore for whatever reason, because no one cares about the inner frame like that anyway. So why not just make something that looks good, you know, shoulder to shoulder with previous master grades and whatnot, but at the same time, you know, it's that same scale and quality, if not, you know, a little less quality, because it's not gonna have the inner frame and the cockpit. That's usually the two things they skimp out on, but usually all the transformation gimmicks and all that still stay for full mechanic stuff. But, man, just a thought. So of course, yeah, now it's telling you to start putting all the outer armor here for everything. So again, very cool. And I was curious about this. Does this thing have a gem head or what? Or does it have some sort of piece you put over it? Because it looks like a gem head here. It looks like a Gundam head there, but then there's this piece. I guess we'll find out when we build this thing. So I've seen, I was positive when I looked at this thing, I've seen it literally looking like a Gundam. But they're showing pictures of it looking like a gem. I don't know if it's an MLRS thing that makes it come with the gem head, and the standard version comes with the Gundam head. If that's the case, I might have goofed buying this thing, because I'm not gonna lie, I prefer to look an actual Gundam. But we'll see. Maybe me barely glancing at this menu, I missed them building the Gundam head earlier and now showing off the gem head. But again, basically all this thing has to do to succeed Bandai's 20-year-old plus version of this thing is have it able to actually carry its shield and be more than just a brick just standing still with the bazooka slung over the shoulder. If it could pull off those two things, holding up the shield and again actually being able to do more than one pulls, this thing's definitely a winner. So again, this is just them telling you how to do the gimmicks of the opening the cockpit. Oh yeah, that's right, it has some little pieces that open up for the armor, what have you. And then I kind of glazed over it, but again, there's light up effects for the shield, the bazooka, all that stuff that just really lets you recreate the scene of the Unit 2 firing off at Solomon with the nuke to life. So, because it's basically the end of this thing anyway, I gotta look back at it. Did I miss the head? That was definitely a gem head they had you building here. It says outer head armor. So I'm going to assume all of this part is having you do is just build the outer part of the head. When did it even have you build a head? Had to have been, oh, here it is there. Because it has the Gundam style eyes, but then it puts a little visor over it. Very weird. But anyway, that's about it for this thing and this unboxing in general. So again, I can't wait to build this thing. I would have probably been building the O over this thing, but let's be honest, this thing is pretty freaking cool. And it's newer. And I don't want to say more interesting because the O is one of my holy grails, but I mean, I'm really interested to see how this thing builds, number one. And two, I just want to see what this thing is made of and whatnot. I'm pretty sure I glanced at someone's review of this thing, just because, again, with this being a third-party kit, I'm very wary of these type of things. I can already say I heard some people complaining that they were missing runners from this thing. I wasn't counting which runners or whatnot, but it looks like this thing has all the runners. So I'll figure out when I build this thing whether that is the case or not. But I really hope that I can get a Gundam head here. The box shows it with a Gundam head here. I don't want it to be the gem head. Where the heck did I put that? Oh, put it off in a corner somewhere. It's fine. We looked at it, but that's it for this review, guys. Thank you all again so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, you know exactly what to do. And stay tuned when I eventually build and review this. And, well, geez, I can at least show it over there. That. Take care, you guys.